My
for
man,
hair.
it's such a process.
I don't know why I let Seth. I need to just learn it
Wait,
myself. It is. It's like the slowest.
Okay, this is me. I'm gonna unmute. Are we unmuted? I literally just said I'm going to unmute.
That is true.
Thank you. Hi, wait, why am I wearing a blouse?
I'm wearing something very nice, Seth.
What
Out
am
of
I
respect for the
wearing?
Frasier cast, you're wearing a shirt.
I thought it was a nice color, but I literally look I'm in a
that
boat neck.
needs to be ironed.
No, it was sort of that Barbara look, that Stella look in the 70s. Anybody?
Oh my gosh.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Seth Rudetsky, James Wesley. This is Stars in the House. What is Stars in the House?
It is well now. It started. One of the early press release said it was a mini show, which has now been changed because an hour-plus show is not a mini show. Anyway, we are a talk variety show to bring people hope and raise money and awareness for the Actors Fund.
Correct, Mundo. Yeah, I'm trying to negotiate this weird, all these people. Okay, so yeah, we're every single day, 2 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. We started 2 weeks ago in like 2 days.
Right.
We do 2 shows a day. We did this afternoon. We did the Heidi Chronicles with the whole original cast, which was crazy amazing.
Incredible. And just to remind people, so that was our first one for Plays in the House. And Plays in the House, we can't, it can't live online the way that these shows do. So it's 2 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday and Saturday. This Saturday is Charles Busch in his own play, The Tale of the Allergist's Wife. And it's going to be, well, I hate to use the word that he uses, amazing, but it is going to be amazing. We have raised so far, with everyone's generous help, $127,000 for the Actors Fund. And it's actually going to be...
so momentous when you say it. $127,000 in 2 weeks. I'm excited about it. You've got to have energy.
Too.
Hit the back wall. Okay, go.
The microphone is... Well,
hit the box seats and the balcony.
But it's going to be higher, and this is what I'm really excited about. And it was Joanna Gleason's idea when she sprung it on us with Bernadette Peters' staff from Into the Woods.
Right here.
And today, it sold for, now this I'll give you the excitement you want, $3,205.
Yowza!
For the Actors Fund. And Audra McDonald's baby, the one that she buried in ragtime, $1,161. Those were the first 2 items sold that have been stolen by the actors for the Actors Fund.
Basically snatched. You know when a show closes, you kind of take every costume and set piece you can take. So now everyone's selling everything. Laura Benanti stole her.
So Laura Benanti's shoes from...
When she was 18 years old, she started on Broadway. She has the shoes with Sound of Music.
2 pair. And Betty Buckley's wig/mane, cats, and literally a set piece. I think those are the next ones that are about to go off sale. Right.
And then like so much other stuff. So just go to starsinthehouse.com. What the hell else?
Well, we have some, we were getting letters, Seth. I can't read them all because we want to get to Dr. LaPook and then we want to get to the Frasier cast. But it is really heartening, all the people that are watching it all over the world, because we really didn't know what to expect when we called Joe Benacasa and we talked to Brian Stokes Mitchell only a couple of weeks ago, and to see if it was okay if we did this. So this one just here, hello Seth and James. We are 2 Vancouver actors who have also lost contracts due to this world-shaking time. In honor of our Canadian friends, Len and Heather Carreau, we have donated $100 to the Actors Fund and another $100 to the Actors Fund of Canada. So we want to say thank you to them.
Len Carreau.
That's right. And if anyone wants a masterclass in acting, they need to go to the episode that Len Carreau was on, singing "Send in the Clowns" right to the camera.
Wow, is it brilliant?
Absolutely brilliant. Christian from Norway. I live in Norway and I love the show. Almost everyone in Norway is doing social distancing now, and will do so for a while. I tried. I can't even. I do not need a shout out. Well, you know what, Christian, I gave you a shout out.
Sorry,
it's pretty amazing. And this one, we've been saying this: people donating to the Actors Fund, but at the same time donating to their local theater. And this one, Sherry Stern and Christopher Smith from Lake Forest, California. Thank you for watching. They also donated to their local theater, Chance Theater in Anaheim.
And we keep saying, if you have tickets, so every single show has been canceled, obviously, across America. If you have tickets to that show, don't ask for a refund. Ask for, basically, say that money will now be donation to the theater. And that way, whatever you pay for your ticket will go to the theater. Okay.
Oh, I want to do one more. Sure. One more, because this is before we bring on Dr. LaPook, because we just got this one today. By the way, Chance Theater is where we saw Disaster.
Oh, in California.
With Adam Pascal and Kevin Chamberlain. And Roger Bart, I think, was there. Anyway, this one, hello. Thank you so much for doing this series of live streams. Beyond being important to both raise awareness about COVID-19, thanks to Dr. LaPook, and raising funds for the Actors Fund, it brings so much light and joy into my day. I am a closeted LGBTQ teen, and this period has been difficult in terms of returning to my home environment from university. For myself and many others in similar situations, returning to homes that are not affirming of our queer identities is challenging, but your daily pieces bring so much light into our days. Along this line, they wanted, of course, the cast of Prom to come, which we will make happen. And anyway, it was very touching, and that's from Emma. So Emma, just wanted to say thank you for writing.
Shout out.
A shout out. So we want to bring on Dr.
Yeah, we got to bring on Dr. John LaPook. Now, by the way, we have the cast of Frasier plus all these special guest stars, and we're only allowed to have 10 people waiting. So Dr. John LaPook, after you're on, we have to boycott you to the very end of the show so we can bring in our last cast member, because as we're talking, so I've been panicking. Yeah. Keep saying, someone is trying to enter the studio. Someone's trying to enter the studio. So just so you know,
we have
Dr.
so
LaPook,
many surprise guests.
Yeah,
everyone, it keeps saying studio is full, studio is full. And when the studio was full this afternoon in Heidi Chronicles, it basically, actually, it wasn't that, the whole platform.
It was crazy. Here we go.
It was good.
Dr. John LaPook, we love
LaPook.
you. Chief medical correspondent from CBS. What's up?
All right, first of all,
Wait a minute.
Emma. No sound.
No. When Dr. LaPook, your sound is up. Did you mute yourself?
Never had that.
No, I did not. No sound.
All right. Wow. this is a devastating beginning. No, what about now? No.
No.
Really weird. Dr. LaPook, come back at the end of the show. That's what I'm going to advise you. The saddest of sad faces. Well, actually, it'll be better because we need to bring this person in for the beginning of the show. So be in touch with David, who's going to bring you back.
I know.
Are those real tears? Wow, you still got it. Okay. He'll come back.
Kick from studio is what it says. It's a horrible.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So now we can finally begin our Frasier reunion.
Yes.
We have more TV reunions. We had This Is Us last night. We had Taxi. And we have more next week.
Nothing but Emmy Award winners.
3. Yeah. Okay, are we all excited?
I'm excited. All right.
Just stop. Let's go. Wait, Dr. John LaPook, hold on. He's going to try one more time.
Does it work now?
Okay, girl, it's got to cut. Out of the studio, we got to bring in our next guest. Clear talent. Oh my God.
The chief medical correspondent from CBS News. Girl.
But I literally was like, I'm kicking for the studio to bring in our next guest. And I just see Dr. John LaPook.
Can you start? Oh, look, your sister busted you. We were totally hearing the doctor.
Here's the deal. Sometimes you guys can hear it, but we can't. So either way, Siri. All right, here we go. This is mom and pop and like old school, but we're still raising money. So stop busting me. Yeah, I know you can hear him. I see all the comments.
Sister.
But we can't hear him.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
On here.
So whoever we're trying to get in the studio, come in the studio right now.
That's right. Okay.
Here's our little introduction.
Let's go. Okay.
Theme song.
All right. David Hyde Pierce. Very open.
All right. Oh, I'll get over here.
And what we got here? Jane Lee.
Yes.
Hi, David.
And Kelsey Grammer. What the heck?
And here he is.
No.
Dan.
Hi. Hey, Dan. How are you, buddy? Hey.
That's Brodetsky.
Wait, I don't know what to do.
How about that?
Here.
We're going to try one more computer.
Why don't they catch up for a minute? And I'm going to bring
you guys catch up. We may have to literally watch them again. So you guys,
they catch up.
just so you know.
So Jane, are you back home? You were in Georgia.
Yes, I'm back home. I made it back home.
Cool.
Where's the computer?
How's your mom?
Good. Yeah, my brother's staying with her. Yeah.
It's
Great.
Oh
my God.
I can't believe I see your mom in June, wasn't I?
Hey, Glenn. Haven't seen you.
full, so you
Look at you guys. You look so beautiful.
kick someone else out.
Amazing.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, sweetie. Hey, Perry. Hi, Seth. David, Kelsey.
Hello.
How's everybody doing? Are you okay, David? Are you safe? Are you
But Dan, are you in New York too?
No,
up in Vermont.
Okay, hold on, guys. We have to kick someone off so we can start a new live stream. So just, Dan Butler, I'm going to bring you back in 2 minutes.
Great.
This has never happened before. The more Emmys, the more problems. Hold on, here we go.
Too many people.
Yeah, sure.
So now you try.
Kelsey, how did you figure it out?
It wasn't as hard as I thought. And I also have a full staff of, tech support.
For kids, right?
Yeah, right. You know, it's funny. I don't spend any time on my phone anymore because my 3-year-old steals it.
Yeah.
That's basically his phone. So that's
Born.
that's a great
That noise.
thing. Great. So,
Well, anyway.
and Perry, you both were in Malibu then, right?
I'm in Malibu.
Jane is. We're in Westlake.
Oh, I didn't know you'd made that move.
Yeah, we did.
How about that? It's nice up there.
It is. It is.
No, I like it. Yeah.
It's easy. There's like if you need to go get something.
Yeah, no, it's like living in America. There's something weird, like Hollywood.
Today,
I can go actually get things.
Now
I
is
think we can hear you now.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Okay.
There,
So,
can you hear us?
Now, did we actually kick Dan off?
no, he's coming back though. I told him to get the help. Okay, wait, this
Temporary.
this off.
Just saw someone walk behind you.
Who was that, Perry? Was that Christian?
Stella.
Stella. Hi, Stella. Hi, Stella.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I told him not to do that. That's so cute. It's fine. I don't mind. I don't think. Do you?
Minds.
Yay! And, okay, hold on. Who the hell is that?
Well, we can start and then
More fun than I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I feel bad for America.
Oh, that's Christian. Oh my God.
I get no respect.
Okay, here I go. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you to text somebody.
Now you've started something.
Kelsey Grammer,
That's true.
Yeah.
can you? I want to go back before
No,
Fraser.
no.
She's busy.
I got
Around you.
Oh, God.
Craziness there is now.
Okay, Kelsey Grammer, just before Frasier, in terms of Cheers, how did you get Cheers in the first place?
I was doing Sunday in the Park with George with Mandy Patinkin.
Hold on.
Okay, very good. You're encyclopedic. Apparently Mandy had lunch with Gretchen Rennell, who was the casting director back then at the Gulf and Western building, which is now the Trump Hotel, I guess. But anyway, she said she was looking for, sort of leading men who are funny. And Mandy said, Kelsey Grammer's funny. That's basically how it happened. And then
There was no going to studio, going to network, all that long process thing?
well, there was a bit of a process. There was I had to read for it. And I got sides. I wasn't, very familiar with what sides were at the time. They swore me to secrecy. I had to sign for them, and they said it was like sort of industrial espionage, like you're going to be Diane's boyfriend. And of course, I didn't know who Diane was. It didn't really have a lot of impact.
Weren't you understudying though? Weren't you understudying on? Weren't you understudying?
I was understudying in Hurley Burley, yeah.
And didn't you have to talk Mike Nichols into letting you go audition?
Sunday Department George, and then I was understudying Bill Hurt and Christopher Walken in Hurley Burley.
Mm.
And when they finally made the offer, which was about a month later, Mike Nichols would not let me out. And he said to me, as I called him from the hotel phone in the lobby of the Carlisle, he said, "A television show does not a career make."
Well, there you go.
You know what? In any other instance, that might have been true. But
Only time he was ever wrong.
it's no biggie. But finally, a friend of mine actually filled him in that it was actually more than one appearance on a show. It was actually sort of a limited run, 7 episodes, which of course then turned into
A million.
10 years. Yeah. Something like 500.
Kelsey, in the end, by the time Frasier went off the air, how many years had you played the character Frasier?
20.
I guess Mariska Hargitay maybe has now surpassed that. But
I think so. They're going to be on forever. Doesn't what's his name on NCIS? Hasn't been doing that for about 57 years now. Isn't
okay. Yeah, we still say it's you.
Okay.
So it's
So-
a feather in the hat that goes away.
We want to just start from the beginning, by the way, and thank David Hyde Pierce. David Hyde
Yes.
Pierce is basically the den mother who called everybody.
Yes.
He got everyone to say yes to this. And the reason I know David, I want to go back with you for a second, is you were on Caroline in the City as it was like a one show appearance, right?
Yep. At a guest star appearance because my then partner, now husband, was writing on the show.
And they were the role. He was a CPA, and in order not to audit this woman that was in Cats, she agreed to get him an audition for Cats.
He'd always dreamed of being in the musical Cats, and so they made up a fake audition for him just so he would let her off the hook for her taxes.
And I was good friends with Marco Panette, who created that show, and he asked me to write the song. So David, for funsies, I brought a little bit of your performance from Caroline in the City. This is David's musical theater debut as a CPA auditioning for Cats.
I help you with deductions, I know all the latest tricks. But in my mind, I'm doing sassy high kicks. Me out. That's how I get from 9 to 5. 6, 5, 6.
Impressive.
It's amazing that I ever worked again, or that you did.
Hold on, there's more.
I don't need a tax shelter. I'm a Broadway belter. I don't want your pity. Just want to be a kitty. And then I'll give up 9 to 5. Hairball.
Oh,
Excellent.
young.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was so upsetting. Thank you.
I would say it was a brilliant performance. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Kelsey for a second. I'm going to bring you on. So Kelsey, you're playing this role on Cheers, and they said, let's do a sequel to Cheers, like the Ropers from Three's Company, where you like, forget it, there was always bomb. Like, what was your thoughts about it?
My original thought was that Frasier should die with Cheers, and that we should do something else. And I listened to a very wise man named John Pike at the time. We wrote a script. We wrote a script that was funny, I thought. The guys at Grub Street, thought it was funny too. And John Pike took me to dinner and he said, I read the script. I think a sitcom should be funny. Okay. And he said, I want you to play Frasier.
Wow.
So that's how it all happened.
And then,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
and then Jane Reeves, did you have to audition with a bunch of people? Was it just offered to you? How'd you get the gig?
No, David got it right off. Jane, I auditioned with Jane. Perry was a sort of a replacement, a sort of a 11th hour replacement, because we knew Perry had done a Cheers episode. Like the year before, right, Perry?
Almost a few weeks before, right?
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
And we just thought, you know what? She's an actress. She knows what she's doing. We'll be able to get her, she's going to be able to pull off this part, because the girl that was playing it was having real trouble with it. And we thought, well, it's kind of quirky and fun. Maybe this is going to really work out. And it just never did. And so things went fine for her on Friends. So it's okay.
We all know who the girl was.
Jane, at first I said, they said, well, we found this wonderful English actress, blah, 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 blah. And I started thinking, oh my God, what is it, Nanny and the Professor? And, because that was a show back at that time. And so I was a little nervous about that. So I said, mind if I come in and meet her? And they said, no, of course not. So we met and we talked, and I walked out and I said, yeah, she's good.
He drove up in his big red Corvette, and I was sitting on the steps outside of the offices, and this big red Corvette drove up, and he bounced out. And
It did have a big red.
with him, and it was fantastic.
It was a great car.
Jane, did you grow up
I wish I'd just driven off with you then.
you grow up in the UK, Jane?
Sorry, Darren?
Did you grow up in the UK?
Yes, mostly. I think I actually grew up here. I was sort of 22 when I got here. So my sort of formative years, I suppose, were here.
But do you think there's a difference in the British sitcoms that you grew up with compared to the American sitcom that you became so famous with? Was there a difference in style?
Some things are different, but not really. I think funny is just funny, you know, and silly. English sitcoms tend to be a bit sillier sometimes, but we certainly had those silly moments on Frasier, you know, and I think it's just, I think comedy is something you just get or you don't, you know, and I learned so much working with these geniuses, really.
Yeah.
And David Hyde Pierce, you were such a theater actor. Did you ever think, a lot of people just use theater as a stepping stone for TV. Were you aiming for TV or did it just sort of happen?
No, it was an accident. I actually, I had been happily doing theater, and Brian, my husband, had been an actor, and he had always wanted to try writing for television. So I only went out to LA because he needed to go out there because that's where the writing was. And I thought, I got to find out if I can even stand it out here. And I got another show that didn't run very long. But based on that, that's where the casting director and I think the writers for Frasier had seen me. I played a suicidal congressman. And so that's what led to it. But no, and honestly, as soon as the show finished, I came back to the theater. But you know, working with so many theater people in the show, and the show is written so much like a play each week that I felt right at home.
So let me ask you something. When you read the script, did you think this character is so similar to Frasier? How is it going to work?
Yeah. What happened was I met with the creators of the show and the casting director, Jeff Greenberg. And then I went home and called my agent, and I said, I thought it went well. And she said, well, it did go well because they offered you the part.
Wow.
But I hadn't read a script. And then when they sent me the script, I thought, well, this is terrible. Because reading Frasier and Niles, I thought they'd written two of the same character. What a stupid thing to do, which was one of the first of my many great insights about the show. It seemed to work out. And by the way, I want to say, because Brian is a writer and was while we were doing Frasier, he was writing on other shows. And so often a script would come in and we'd read it for the first time and there would be no laughs because the writers didn't write jokes. They wrote to the characters. And then we'd go in and have the table read, and we'd all sit around and read the script, and I'd go home afterwards and Brian would say, how did it go? And I'd say, oh, it went really well. They said, we don't have to rehearse today. And he would like throw things around the room because it was like, it's such hard work for writers, but we were so blessed.
And Perry, just thinking back on how long, probably 10 years, do you have any like amazing line that you completely were obsessed with saying?
Oh my God, so many. My favorite line from Frasier is not, you have the right idea. My favorite line from Frasier is mine. It was the he said, look out, he's got a nug.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That's my fault. But my favorite line, I can't even remember. But thank you for asking. I'll remember it by the end.
David or Kelsey, do you have a moment that you remember Perry saying something and thinking it was brilliant?
No.
Perry was always just great. I mean, they wrote some great stuff for her because the character was, you know, I mean, most of the laughs that came out of Roz's mouth were character laughs. You know, what her sex life was.
Present. And when we end Edward Hibbert's character.
That was great.
He started talking about his wife. And Dan Butler and I were on the set with Edward and Kelsey, and we were all on the set, and he says, my wife, and we go, your wife? You know, and we go, I got to say, I think we thought
when he said, what is it, Meg or Bev or something? Was it Meg?
Deb.
on maneuvers this weekend. I thought.
Yeah.
It was so silly and wonderful.
One of my favorite lines, it wasn't even a line, it was just the way you said it, Kelsey, was I stepped in something that I can only imagine was an old burrito. I'm always saying that. I'm saying that in my life all the time.
You know what? I still
Say it.
I can't. You need to. I say I'll get it all the time.
I'll get it. Oh,
remember that? It never made it in the show, but we rehearsed it for a couple of days where we were playing a crossword puzzle. We were playing Scrabble.
Yes.
I insisted, or you insisted that the word Geb was a word, G-E-B.
Yeah.
No way, I'll get it. So
I'll get it.
It haunts me still.
I have one for all of us, which was, there was an episode, and actually this is one, Perry, where you were great, because it was one where Roz had an affair with a young man and was going to have a baby, and all the emotions of all that. But his parents were coming to the apartment, and she was going to meet them for the first time, and she was so nervous. And Frasier said to her, think of it this way. This is the genetic material of your child. You'll get a glimpse of what your child might be. And he opens the door, and there they are. And they each have the biggest noses that anyone has ever seen. They have prosthetic noses on. And so as the characters, but also as the actors, we were trying to not react to these giant noses. And at one point, they're sitting there, and we've all got it together. And Eddie the dog comes running in. And the wife says, oh, you have a dog. And John Mahoney says, yes, do you have a dog? And she says, yes, we have 2 giant schnauzers. And if you see the episode, we never got through it. Even in the one that they finally aired, they had to cut while we're all just like spewing mucus.
It's our
they said, can you smell that? No, Frasier goes, smell that, or can they smell that? And John says, in Japan.
We can smell it from Japan.
John.
I know.
We have our Bulldog is here. Hold on.
Yes, come on.
Well,
You guys are hilarious.
sounds like the Ritzy
Yes.
background. Wow. Where are you?
Hello.
So, by the way, if people talk at the same time, it keeps cutting everybody out. So what I keep saying is you have to act like a newscaster and just be like, and nod politely and then speak. So Dan Butler, how did you get the job?
It was very strange because I think Jeff Greenberg saw me in Terrence McNally's wonderful play Lisbon Traviata, which I'm going, how did he bring me in for Bulldog from that? But I remember going in on a first audition and the character was just sketched out. It was not even what it ended up to be. And when I came back to the callback, it was so brilliantly written. I'm just saying, well, everyone is going to knock this out of the park. I mean, it's just great. And I said, well, what have I got to lose? Just completely go for it and have a blast and embarrass yourself. And I just had a blast. It was one of those times, one of the few times in an audition where I go, they'd be crazy not to cast me. And because it's so rare that I feel like that. And I'm going, well, I had a blast and we'll see. And it was fun. It was so fun.
What was your favorite practical joke that you played during the show?
Oh gosh, my mind's blanking. It's
David had
you would ask everyone a favorite line, and I've just got to say, I remember, I think it was the last show. It was in 1999, and Perry and I I finally told her I loved her, and I was trying to scare away all her boyfriends, and we were doing a run through. And there's a section where she tricks me to take all my clothes off and get out on the balcony. And standing there, David Angel, God bless him, came up with a joke at that moment, and which was, Roz, open up. It's freezing out here, as you can plainly see. And I thought it was so brilliant and classy and funny. And I go, it was just great. So
That you remember. Okay,
Yeah.
so hold on. I'm gonna bring on 2 special guest stars. So I have to, we can only have 6 on at a time. So I have to extend 2 people. So Perry, I'm gonna bring you back. Don't go nowhere. And then Stan, I'm gonna bring you back. Don't go nowhere. And then I'm gonna bring on 2 special guest stars to say hello. Perhaps you remember your friend Tom.
Hey! Oh, how are you?
Very good. Hi, Seth and James.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Kelsey, David.
Hello, buddy.
Great to see you, man.
It's great to see you.
I'm gonna bring on one more Broadway/TV pal. Our pal, Miss Harriet Harris.
Hi.
Harriet.
Oh, God.
Harriet, reposition that camera. I've never seen worse camera work.
It's the first time in my life I couldn't find a camera.
There you go. There you go.
Harriet and I just did a play together.
And we were wonderful.
What was it?
It was at the Park Avenue Armory, a play called Judgment Day.
Oh.
And Harriet stole it.
I love that building.
Yes.
Yeah, it's big. The director said he wanted us to be 4 times bigger than we'd ever been in any play. And I thought, he doesn't mean me. He can't mean me.
Harriet, how old do you actually think your character was? Because I was noticing, at the very end, it's like your son is 40. And it's like, wait, what?
I don't think you can believe anything she says. So I really think she was probably about 22.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to nod politely. Okay. I keep asking everybody, Harriet Harris, how did you get the gig?
Jeff Greenberg. Jeff Greenberg came to see a play that Paul Rudnick wrote called Jeffrey. A bunch of us had done it in New York, and we all went out to California, and it was very exciting. And we were having the time of our lives. And then some people started actually wanting us to audition, and we never thought that would happen. And Jeff brought me in, and it's a sort of a pre-screen. And then he said, I don't do this, but they're in a writer's session, but I'm taking you over to the writers right now. And he called and he said, and for God's sake, brush your hair. So we went over, and everybody laughed a lot. And I thought, well, I don't quite understand Hollywood. I don't know what this means. And then by the time I'd driven home, I had the job. So it was so lovely. And I had the time of my life, guys. It was always so much fun. And it's so delightful seeing you here.
It's lovely.
Kelsey, what's one of your favorite memories of working with Harriet? Uh-oh.
My favorite memory is doing a scene from Streetcar Named Desire when we were both 18 years old.
Yes, darling.
Yeah. I also have a long history with Harriet. We did theater together for many years before Frasier, out at the Guthrie, and we did. She was Ophelia, and I was Laertes in Kevin Kline's Hamlet at the Public. We've done a lot.
It was always an occasion when Harriet showed up, and when Tom showed up.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah, you all made us feel like that too.
Tom, it's so funny. The other day, I've got a little picture framed of that day when we walked by the blowhole on Maui.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. My wife asked me, when was this taken? I said, that was when I was walking around with Tom. You met me, he played the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. No, it's really, it's terrific. It just brought back a rush of wonderful memories.
Wonderful, yeah.
So, Tom, you're doing Wicked now all the time, right?
Well, I haven't done it in a couple of years now, but they've been very good to me. I've done it on and off in London, New York, on tour. They've been very good to me. So, yes. And my Frasier story is that I auditioned for Jeff for a 1 episode. Kenny was supposed to be there for 1 episode. His character got fired at the end of the show. It was a season finale. And I was like, well, that was a blast because, of course, the cast was so incredible. The writing, Kelsey, I remember after the table read, you reached out to me and you said, don't worry, they'll fix it. And I said, it's the best half hour I've ever read. Fix it. And the next day I came in and I had 3 scenes, but I still got fired. And I just thought, well, that was great. And at the beginning of the next season, they said, all the people that were fired are going to have a picnic.
Right.
And I went to New York and I was doing Chicago with BB. And then they called again and they said they want to now have you be the station master. And all of a sudden it turned into 6 years of work on, one of the best shows of all time. So it really changed my life. And it's just amazing.
When you got fired, was it the one where suddenly KACL was going to be an all Latin channel for a while or something?
Yeah, originally the show ended with me getting fired, and then they rewrote it so that you stood up for me and got everybody fired.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right.
Oh, yes. Someone's writing in Christine Baranski is talking
Laura.
My Lord.
It's a random thing. Okay,
Can I just say, though, that's Jeff Greenberg, who was our casting director. He cast all of New York Theater in that show. James Earl Jones was in it. Christine Baranski. I mean, I can't even name them. Everybody. Incredible.
So hold on, I have a question. This keeps moving. I have a question. Kelsey, everyone keeps talking about this so-called reboot. What the hell is going on with that?
Well, it's just something we've been kicking around. Right now, this is it.
How's it going?
This is what we've been doing. It's not a sure thing. It's just, but we're hoping.
Well, I'm loving the script. Harriet Harris, do you have any favorite amazing moment that you got to play?
I was not on the show all that frequently, but I always had something tremendous to do. I got to do like one a season sometimes, and maybe some seasons I wasn't on, but it was always delightful. And she was I think there was just maybe enough of her to have her every once in a while. But it was, I got to stand on a ledge of a building. I got to ride donkeys. I got to come out of a hotel room with smoke all around me. I got to marry a dead man. It was all thrilling. Every time it was going to be something. And a lot of that was due to Joe Keenan. And, all the writers were so wonderful, but he particularly, I think, delighted in the idea that BB could be as bad as anybody wanted to be. So, and everybody was always on board with that. But it was but truly the most favorite thing is just getting to be with everybody. BB was this wonderful excuse to get to be among all these people. And it was delightful the first time I saw Kelsey again after school to see each other and to be with David, having done a play with him. And I met Perry years ago, and it was always so much fun. I just thought it's a great group. So
it was that green room.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why? What was the green room?
It was just like a backstage at a theater. We had a little green room. Instead of trailers, a lot of shows had trailers outside the studio. We had actual dressing rooms, a physical green room where you could sit around the table. And
that's what we did.
Yeah.
We were never.
If I could say, the regular cast was so welcoming to everyone who came in. Everyone was welcome at the green room. There were so many laughs. I still see John Mahoney sitting at his chair. And, John knew so much about music, so much about all types of music. And for the years I was on the show, John and I would discuss rap music. And everyone else would roll their eyes. But John loved all types of music. I was into rap at that point. So we'd be talking about Ludacris and Eminem. And I remember Jane walking in and rolling her eyes at us. Like, what are these guys talking about?
Okay, we got to bring back Dr. John LaPook for our break. First of all, I love that you guys obviously love each other so much. It's so great to see this loving energy. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye to Tom and Harriet. I love that you guys made your guest appearances. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Great to see you.
So great to
Lovely
see
to
you.
see you all. Thank you, Seth.
Harriet, so great to see you as usual.
Bye-bye.
See you on my radio show, I'm sure. Okay, and then hold on, how do I do this? I go like that. Okay, so then Dr. John LaPook's going to call back in just a moment. But before he does, let me bring back one more fun little special guest star. Hold on, I got to bring back Perry, by the way. Perry's going to come back.
Perry.
Dr. John.
My friend who I did a Broadway show with, the adorable Mr. Patrick Kerr.
Hi. Hey, how you doing? Hi. Hi, you guys. Hello.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Perry. Hi, David. Hi, Jane. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, Are you really obsessed with Star Trek?
No.
You're acting?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Yeah, and people, people would assume that. I did an episode of Star Trek though. Which one? Voyager, the one with Janeway. Is that Voyager? I did an episode of that. And,
was that before or after us?
Oh, interesting.
It was during, somewhere in the middle of it or something like that. And I was playing some alien, and they at first when I auditioned for it, they wanted like some sort of like mind guy, some little like kind of Wally Cox kind of thing. But then by the time though it was done, they wanted like James Earl Jones, and I couldn't do it. And they kept,
That's not true. If you sure
real range, I gotta say.
They wanted, and I tried to give my best like drama school kind of like voice, but it's still not enough.
Patrick, say this is CNN.
This is CNN.
It's perfect.
Hard. Hi, Perry. You look so pretty. Oh my God.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Anyway.
Handsome.
And we did the Ritz together, the revival of the Ritz at the Ritz.
How can I do that? And one of my absolute idols is Joe Keenan. Like literally, the reason I write books is because of Joe Keenan, and because of Patrick. He came to the Ritz. Remember, I almost passed out when I met him. Yeah. I love him so much. He's so brilliant.
He came down. So I did a play with Perry. With oh God. At some point, anyway, I met him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
And by the way, I was reading about you actually had to speak Hebrew on the show. Is that also true? Do you know Hebrew? Go.
No, but he spoke Klingon.
Klingon. I had to learn Klingon, and it is a language.
No, but you also spoke Hebrew at one point. Why do I know it better than you do? Anybody back me up on this?
Well, no. Who are you?
Are we supposed to be doing that?
No. What happened was, this is important.
I know.
So it was a whole episode where Frasier's son was getting bar mitzvah, right?
Natch.
Yeah. No. Yes. And Noel was teaching Frasier to say what he was going to say, his speech in Hebrew. But then I don't remember what the reason was. Noel got very, very angry at Frasier because of something that he did. So instead, he taught him Klingon. And so when Frasier got up and spoke in front of all the people, he spoke in Klingon, which is not far from Yiddish, or from Hebrew, but it's different. They're saying different things.
How dare you? By the way, look at this.
All the kids at the bar mitzvah freaked out. They said, "This is so cool." Freddie's dad is speaking in Klingon. They loved it.
By the way, this is being seen all over the world. I just showed some of these comments. Look at this. This is amazing. Gone 4:30 in the UK. I should be asleep, but can't stop watching. Frasier was my favorite sitcom of all time. So great seeing all the old cast again.
Very nice.
Nice.
Okay, so listen. Even though we do this in show,
Dan over the summer. Dan and I did a play in Vermont last summer.
Oh yeah.
At Dorset, and we had a great time doing this Cindy McLeod play.
I love theater people. Yeah. Okay, so listen. Even though we have all this entertaining, we also have to have our medical advice. So we're going to give you guys a break. We have the chief medical correspondent from CBS, Dr. John LaPook, who's actually here. No joke. He's here every show. So you're going to be back soon. So David, come back. Perry, come back. Do I have room for him? Patrick. Okay. And then Dr. John LaPook.
Before the medical advice, bring back David Hyde Pierce. I'm about to give your audience the best gift ever.
Let me see if I can.
So, you know what this is. Well, maybe not. Maybe you don't remember. But right before Frasier is when I met David Hyde Pierce. He was in a show called The Powers That Be, and he played a character named Theodore Van Horn. And he alluded to this earlier today. And all I'm going to say is, folks out there, find it on YouTube, wherever, The Powers That Be. I have never, or my family, we have never laughed harder watching you in that scene that you allude to with the curtain and whatever. I mean, it's not something to laugh at, but we laughed at it, how you did it. Anyway, just leave it at that. Hilarious. People don't know. It ran for a year or two, but you were genius in that. Oh, my gosh.
Well, you are a great doctor because I feel better already. Thank you.
Anyway, so the medical stuff today,
Okay.
All about two things. One is, whatever you're hearing, there is not enough PPE, personal protective equipment. There really is not. I spoke to a doctor today in a major hospital. They're talking about how you clean, how you sterilize, how you reuse the N95 masks, which are the top level masks that you need in order to have the most protection from the aerosolization, of the virus that can happen. That's one thing. The other thing, really hot topic, is this issue of masks for the public. So Tony Fauci, who we all love, head of infectious diseases for the National Institutes of Health, said, look, if there was an unlimited supply, infinite supply of surgical face masks, or even N95s, which are above that, but the surgical face masks, then everybody could wear them. They could offer some protection if you're sick from sneezing and giving it to somebody else, and maybe some partial protection against other people, virus coming from the outside and infecting you. But remember, the virus is so tiny, 0.1 microns, it could go through or around. But now you're hearing today, and there may be a recommendation about that coming along if they're available. Now you're hearing a lot about bandanas, people pulling their sweaters up around their nose and stuff like that. And all I can say is that is a big unknown. There was a big study in 2015 out of Vietnam showing it certainly doesn't give as much protection as a surgical mask. There was some suggestion it might have a problem with that, in that perhaps there's an accumulation of virus there. There are other studies suggest some partial protection, but the punchline, the bottom line here is, please, everybody, don't think that you can go out there with a bandana or even a face mask, a surgical face mask, and think that you are immune, that you have absolute protection. You don't. It may offer some tiny protection. You still have to do this 6 feet at least. You still have to do all the hand washing, and you still have to do the proper, sneezing into the crook of your arm or into a tissue. So right now we're starting to see that. I'm seeing, I'm always looking at social media and stuff. That wrong message is getting out there. So please, don't have magical thinking. And the last piece of thing, and then get back to Frasier, because that's what everybody wants to see, is it's going to be everywhere. The thought that there are these protected parts of the country where it hasn't been yet, and so you don't have to have social, and I don't even like the term social distancing, physical distancing. We're socially together because of people like you and the arts that are bringing us together, and the orchestra in Rotterdam that is, and people hanging out their windows in the Upper West Side of New York and clapping for person. Anyway, people are coming together, but don't think that you shouldn't do all these measures because it hasn't gotten to you yet. Guess what? The virus doesn't know that it's at the border of Montana. It's at the border of this small town, whatever. It's going to eventually, because of how much mixing we do, it's going to be everywhere.
All right, well.
Good news. Here's the last thing I'll say. You're hearing in the news about all the disasters, and of course that's what makes the news, the deaths and all that, and it's terrible, and we're overwhelmed in a lot of areas. But what you're not hearing about is all the people who recover, and I'm hearing about them because they're my patients. I've had about 30 patients, 25 or 30 patients, maybe more, who have had coronavirus, and every one of them has recovered so far. One of them took a couple of weeks, but so far, if you don't have an underlying health problem, I know a lot of people do, but if you don't, your odds are really, really good. So even if you do get it, there's a good chance you're going to recover. We need more help. Don't let the foot off the pedal, but we will get through this.
I love the positive news at the end.
Thank you,
All right, thank you, Dr. LaPook.
We'll
see you tomorrow. Peace out. Thank you so much. And then I do this, and then I bring back in my Frasier peeps. Okay, so I'm going to bring back the person who did it all for us, the great
David
Pierce. Hi, David. I think I have the feed.
Perry, you're on.
Hi, Perry, you're on. Okay,
you're back.
And then wait, I have to go down. I'm not the best director.
We're not, it's amazing. We occasionally watch like the late night shows that are trying to do this, and we look with envy that it's just like Jimmy Fallon and his guests, and it's a crew of 50. And our crew consists of Seth, me, and David Katz. It's like what the hell?
It's amazing what you guys are doing.
We're trying.
People get in.
Okay, we also have to get donations later.
Listen. We actually have some. You want to?
Yeah, we're gonna read the donations before we go on. So while people watch this, they've been donating to the Actors Fund, which we really love. And
Absolutely.
through these like $20, $30 donations, we've raised over $120,000 so far. And you guys, we have so many views for this. So thank you for being here.
For all of my talk about that, they haven't come in yet.
Okay,
So I think
come
the
in.
Actors Fund.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Move on.
We have one more
Okay.
special guest star. There was a
Speaking of
request.
the Actors Fund.
Yeah, there was a request for Maris, but I don't think that's actually happening. However,
She's here.
we do have this wonderful lady. Please welcome is Bibi Norder.
Hi, Beeb.
Hi, everybody.
Bibi,
So great to see you all. I love you all so
So
much.
great to see you.
where are you, Bibi? It's a different locale than the last time you were on. It's
Last time you
beautiful.
had your bar.
Oh, yeah. That's with 2 R's. No, this is, I'm in my apartment.
It's stunning.
Is that Tansu next to you?
What's that?
Is that a Tansu chest?
That is a step tansu.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Even in real life, he's the same character. So, Bibi, you told me years ago that there it goes. That I feel like Bob Fosse was sort of responsible for you playing Lilith in the first place.
Yeah.
So, can you talk about that?
Well, I was doing, when I first appeared on Cheers, it also was like Tom. It was just one episode or a little bit of an episode. Remember, Kelsey, there was that little part, and then it was a date that went badly. And then Jenny Tilly came on. Candy with an eye, like Gandhi.
Right.
And so they would bring me back every once in a while to come on. And I was doing Sweet Charity on Broadway. And they said, could you come on and do like a bunch of episodes on the show Cheers? And I remember I was sitting backstage with Michael Rupert, and he goes, what are you going to do when they ask you to be on that show? I said, they're not going to ask me to be on it. I just go and I do it. He goes, no, they're going to ask you to be on the show. And so I didn't know what to do because like David and probably all of you, Jane, hi Perry, like you guys, I never set out to be on television, and I just wanted to keep dancing on Broadway. And so I didn't know what to do when they offered it to me. So I asked a couple of people what they thought, and 2 people I got opinions from were Gwen Verdon and Bob Fosse. I said, I got offered this job. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's a great part. It's a great show and all that, but I just want to dance. And so they both, in a very thoughtful way, advised me that I would be okay. If I did this television job, it would be all right. And I would go back to theater. In fact, Bob said, Bob told me I was like Jack Klugman. He said, you're a theater rat. You'll come back to the theater.
It's good to get to ask Mike Nichols.
You know what? Oh, this reminds me. There was a story there. I was at a one of those. I think it was the New Dramatist Guild had an event, and they were honoring Neil Simon, and I was sitting with Gwen because I don't know. Maybe it was around Damn Yankees time, and Neil was giving this amazing speech about how one of the actors from his play that he was doing was going to leave and to do some television. And Neil Simon said, so I said what I said to any of my actors when they leave a play. I said, good luck with your pilot.
By the way, it's so wonderful. Look at this also comment we just
so
got.
many amazing comments right here.
This is so incredibly heartwarming. Didn't even realize how much I needed this until now. Emotional.
Look at that. Realized with an S. So it's probably another person overseas, right?
We need it too. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I sure need it. This is just too much.
Well, I was so looking forward to seeing everybody, just seeing everybody's faces. It's really definitely.
Speaking of that, BB, it's like what question I'd like to ask everyone is like, what are all of you, David, Perry, Jane, Kelsey, what are you doing to stay healthy during all this, mentally, physically? Because it is a lot, like BB said.
Yeah. Any rituals? Okay, David.
Well, David just answered.
Right behind you, Dave.
Well, it's almost martini time for me, but I work out 2 hours a day, and then I look after the kids, and that's it. And then I'm going to have a martini.
But is that different from
6 o'clock, whatever. It's usually 5 o'clock.
Have you upped your workout since this began?
Not really. For the last couple of years, I've been doing that. So
wow.
Yeah.
I'm
doing more back lately.
And David, normally we see you on the Upper West Side, but we're upstate now. You're still on the Upper West?
Still here. Yeah, I'm. We have a yoga teacher who used to come by the apartment. We now do it online twice a week. I use the stair. We're on the top floor, so of a 16th floor building. So I do the staircase instead of the elevator.
So do I. I do that too. I go up and down the stairs in my building a little bit.
That was you?
Wear a mask? Are you wearing masks when you're doing that?
No, I actually wore a mask. Actually, it was interesting what Dr. LaPook was saying, because Brian and I, we had to go to the grocery store for the first time today in a while because we had a friend in need. And we had construction masks from, back in our construction days. Those things. But we went to the grocery store, and it was a grocery store that wasn't that populated, and it was good, but still, 6 feet apart. And also the New York Times, by the way, has a great article on going to the grocery store, and it talks about, in a non-coronavirus time, the germs on the handle of a shopping cart.
Oh God, yeah.
So horrifying. So, I had no idea. But anyway, you go and you wipe it off and do all that stuff. It's very Niles, actually. It's fantastic. I'm like back home and wiping everything off. And,
I married someone with OCD, and we've been wiping things for a while now. So,
I do the same thing. I'm a little bit germ phobic, and I'm like an OCD. Like I count. So when people said, "Oh, you're going to wash your hands for 20 seconds," that's like, singing happy birthday twice. I'm like, no, it's like counting to 20. What's so hard about that?
I've been flying a lot recently, and when and I always sanitize everything. I get on there with my wipes, and people are looking at me. I came home 2 weeks ago now, I think it was, and everybody, the minute they got on the plane, the wipes came out. I was no longer the freak.
Wow.
My husband said on the Mel Brooks movie. He went to go to New York a couple of weeks ago, and he said he sent a picture of everyone doing that. And he said it's like a Mel Brooks movie.
Listen, hey, this reminds me, you guys. This is very important. I think I'm right about this. That the theme song to Frasier that Kelsey sings, "Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs," is the length of a hand washing.
Yes.
So we don't have to do Happy Birthday anymore. We can do Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs.
Whenever you see a rerun, just dash to the bathroom quickly.
Okay, so before we go, I would just love to have each of you say one of your fondest memories of doing the show. Either the funniest or what makes you emotional. Jane, you're British.
Yes, I don't do emotion. No, I do. I mean, the people, just to see those faces when you went to work every morning. John Mahoney would be sitting down this long corridor where our green room was. You could see John sitting there. He was the first one there every morning. I was the second. David would come in. It was just the routine of it. It was such a family. And we were so excited to have these guest stars come in each week who were fabulous. And I mean, it was an amazing experience. And also when David, we thought he'd killed himself, and he came out of the bathroom with the hot and foamy stuff on.
Yes.
That the shaving thing exploded and you were covered in foam.
Right.
That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Harry, what about you, love?
Well, the green room and coming in every morning, David and Jane and John and Kelsey think being on time means being like 15 minutes early. And my idea of being on time is to be just under 5 minutes late. So we were always just a little bit at odds with that timing. But I remember coming in every morning, and I think my favorite just overall memory is after the years went by, we used to say, "How big will Kelsey get?" And wasn't it the episode where the Betty Davis line, "A rug where a rug
Couldn't be.
Wasn't long.
Like he did it. He has gone over the top.
There's, in that vein, actually, my favorite was I bought a Hungarian goose for dinner, and someone said, "Why don't you just bring your goose?" And I said, "It's not my date; it's dinner." It just got bigger and bigger. For me, the best moments are, and I hang on to them. They are fresh always. Still, has been a moment when I fell in love with all of you, like fell in love, and it's specific to each of you. And what's so remarkable is that it happened again and again and again in a quiet moment that I would sit and think, "Dear God, they're wonderful," and just be completely wrapped in this love that I have to this day.
Amazing. Phoebe Newirth, top that.
I can't, but I feel the same way, and it was such a beautiful experience each time I came in. I only did one episode per season. I had to miss one season, but I always felt in just everything hilarious, fun, warm, but I was also always very, very moved in some way at some point during some episode. Frequently, it was Kelsey. It was something that we did together where it was just really went to a very transcendent moment. It was just it was bigger than us.
Yeah.
It was really something. But it was just a very full, beautiful, wonderful job. And then and if I can just say, a hilarious thing was Thanksgiving. I'll never forget the Thanksgiving when David, you were the only one on stage. You looked for the turkey. You opened it. It wasn't there. You looked again, and then you looked up.
It's incredible. It's I going back, Kels, to what you said. Also, I think we're all very mindful of the fact that we had someone who was, so to speak, the star, who took such pleasure in the work of everyone else, of us, of the guest stars, and everything. Because there's a lot of people who would say, the light is on me. Find what light you can. You so did that, and you didn't do that because you have such beautiful confidence in your gifts that you're not worried about having other talented people around you. You encourage that. And I think between that one thing and the incredible skill of our writers, that's why we went so long. That's why, Beebs, that, a simple scene between the two characters was never a simple scene. It always
was beautiful.
Depth and richness. And can I just show you one quick thing? Because I brought this, because this is one of my favorite episodes. I don't even remember what episode it is, but I just want to show this. Our casting director did this. So let's see if you can see. Hold on, let me get this right so you can see it. So that is my dad, and in the middle is Jane's mom, and next to her is Perry's mom. And back there you can see John Mahoney and Kels. This is a scene at McGinty's bar, and all three of them happened to be there in the audience, and Jeff Greenberg brought them up and stuck them in as extras. And that just is an example of what much of a family the show was.
Wow. Okay. So amazing. And I'm so excited. A reboot is going to happen. I'm doing Oprah style, just saying it's going to happen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for donating. You go to starsinthehouse.com to donate. And I feel we could add another whole hour. So hopefully you guys will maybe be back in a couple of weeks. We'll have more stories from you all. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to bring on Dan to say goodbye. We're going to say goodbye. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to bring on.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you, Dan.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Dan.
See you soon.